Stuff about the dead rats in the mail, but also his co-defendant, who was, quote, severely beaten by some of the other gentlemen.
Informant, rat, suki. These are the words the Russian mob uses for men who talk to law enforcement. In the Vorvy Zakon, the thieves' code born in Soviet gulags, these words carry a weight that has no equivalent in any Western criminal tradition. Men have been killed for them. Men have had their families visited because of them. Men have spent decades in federal witness protection, in cities they didn't choose, under names that aren't theirs, because of what those words cost. But what actually happens to these men? Do they disappear into new lives and never look back? Do they get a bullet the moment they leave the courthouse? Do they live in constant fear, or does the mob simply move on? The answer is none of those things. Not exactly. What really happens to Russian mob members who snitch is stranger, more patient, and more permanent than any of those versions. And by the time this video ends, you will understand why some of the most dangerous men in organized crime history walked into federal buildings, handed over everything they knew, and spent the rest of their lives wishing the deal had come with a warning label. Let's find out. Henry Hill, the man the movie forgot to finish in April of 1980. A man named Henry Hill was arrested at his home in Rockville Center, New York. He was 36 years old, connected to the Lukey's crime family since he was a teenager. Part of the crew that pulled off the Lufthansa heist, $6 million from JFK Airport, the largest cash robbery in American history at the time. He called his lawyer. His lawyer told him the government's case was overwhelming. Hill said, "What are my options?" His lawyer said, "You could cooperate." And here is the first twist that nobody tells you about Henry Hill. He didn't decide immediately. He sat with it for 3 days. 3 days of knowing what cooperation meant in his world, what it made him, what it cost, who it affected. He had been in this world since he was 11 years old. He knew exactly what a rat was. He called the FBI anyway. What happened next became the most famous cooperation story in American organized crime history. The book, the movie, Goodfellas, Joe Pesci and Ray Liotta, and the cultural icon of the mob informant who got out clean. But here is what the movie doesn't tell you. Henry Hill was thrown out of witness protection in 1987. Not because the mob found him, because he could not stop being Henry Hill. Drug dealing in Kentucky, under his protected identity, inside the Federal Witness Protection Program, while the FBI was actively keeping him alive. He was relocated, arrested again, relocated again, arrested again. He eventually stopped hiding entirely. He gave interviews. He appeared on talk shows. He consulted on the Goodfellas film. He lived publicly under his real name in a country where the people he had testified against were dead or in federal prison. He died in Los Angeles in 2012 of complications from heart surgery. He was 69 years old. He had never been sober for any meaningful period after 1980. The Russian mob did not kill Henry Hill. His own nature killed Henry Hill. And that, the mob would tell you, is exactly what they expected. Boris Nayfeld, the man who kept coming back, Boris Nayfeld, is one of the most feared figures in the history of Brighton Beach organized crime. Born in Gomel, in what is now Belarus, emigrated to the United States in the 1970s as part of the wave of Soviet Jewish immigration. Settled in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, the neighborhood that became the operational center of Russian organized crime in America for 4 decades. He rose fast. By the late 1980s, he was one of the most significant heroin traffickers operating between the United States and Europe. Product moving in quantities that the DEA, when they eventually mapped his operation, described as extraordinary for an organization of its apparent size. He was arrested in 1993. The charges carried the kind of federal time that produces a specific clarity of mind. He cooperated. His cooperation produced multiple arrests, prosecutions that damaged the Brighton Beach network in ways investigators had been trying to achieve for years. He testified. He named names. He described operations and financial flows in the kind of detail that only someone inside could provide. His sentence was reduced significantly. He was released. And here is the twist. Boris Nayfeld went back to Brighton Beach. Not to a different city. Not to witness protection. To Brighton Beach. The same neighborhood. The same world. He was arrested again in 2000. Different charges. Different operation. Same Boris Nayfeld. He cooperated again. He has been cooperating, on and off, with various federal and state investigations for more than 30 years. He is still alive. He is still in Brooklyn. He is one of the most surveilled men in the borough. The Russian mob has not killed Boris Nayfeld. Not because they lack the motivation. Because Boris Nayfeld has made himself simultaneously too useful to law enforcement and too exposed to touch, without producing an immediate federal response. He lives at the center of a web that has been managing him for 3 decades. He is technically free. He is also, in every meaningful sense, never free at all. VYACHSLAV, SLIVA, the phone call, not all of them get Boris Nayfeld's outcome. Vyacheslav Sliva was a lower-level operator in a Russian organized crime network in the Pacific Northwest in the late 1990s. Fraud, money laundering, drug distribution at the mid-level. He was arrested in 1999 on federal fraud charges. He agreed to cooperate. His information was useful, not extraordinary but useful. Enough to earn significant consideration on his sentence. He entered the Witness Security Program. New city, new identity, new social security number. A briefing from the Marshal's Service about the protocols that keep protected witnesses alive. The protocols are specific. No contact with anyone from the previous life. No travel to the Pacific Northwest. No Russian restaurants. No Russian language community events. No Russian Orthodox churches. Nothing that connects you to what you were. He followed the protocols for 14 months. And here is the twist that costs him everything. He called his mother. She lived in Portland. She was elderly. She had not heard from her son in over a year. He missed her. The specific, grinding isolation of a new identity in a new city, the absence of everything familiar, had become unbearable. He called. The call was on a monitored line. The Marshal's Service warned him, told him the call had created risk. He called again 3 weeks later. 6 months after the second call, a neighbor requested a welfare check. He was found on the floor of his living room. The cause of death was ruled a drug overdose. Vyacheslav Sliva, had no documented history of drug use. No charges were brought against any individual in connection with his death. His mother was told her son had died of a drug overdose while working a job she was never given details about. She did not know he had cooperated. She did not know what the phone calls had cost. She died in Portland in 2007. She never found out. Ludwig Feinberg, the submarine Ludwig Feinberg, ran a strip club in Miami called Porky's. This sentence sounds like the beginning of a joke. It was not a joke. Porky's was the meeting point for Russian organized crime figures, Colombian cartel representatives, arms dealers, and corrupt officials from 3 countries, men who needed a room where the music was loud and the assumptions were that nobody was recording anything. Feinberg was not just a strip club owner. He was a connector, a broker of trust. He introduced people who needed to be introduced. And he was brokering something specific that caught the attention of every federal agency that heard about it. He was trying to sell a Soviet-era submarine to the Colombian drug cartels. Not metaphorically. An actual functional submarine, acquired through contacts in the collapsed Soviet military, that he was actively negotiating to sell to the Kali cartel for drug smuggling. The price, $5.5 million. The DEA had it on tape. Feinberg was arrested in 1997. He cooperated. He gave investigators the submarine contacts, the cartel connections, the organizational relationships he had spent years building. His cooperation was among the most valuable the prosecutors had received from anyone connected to Russian organized crime in the southern United States. His sentence was dramatically reduced. He was deported to Israel, where he held citizenship and entered protected status there. And here is the twist that nobody in that negotiation had accounted for. The Russian mob did not go after Feinberg. They went after his family, relatives in Russia who had no connection to anything he had done, distant connections who had not spoken to him in years, people whose only relationship to Ludwig Feinberg was blood. They began experiencing problems, business difficulties, the kind of diffuse, unattributable pressure that an organization with global reach applies to peripheral targets without leaving fingerprints on anything. Former associates in Miami were visited. Politely, the visits communicated nothing explicit. They communicated everything implicit. We know. We remember. We are patient. Feinberg has given occasional interviews from Israel over the years. He says he doesn't regret cooperating. He says he did not understand what cooperation would cost. He says he imagined a clean break. Cooperate. Testify. Disappear. Rebuild. He says there is no clean break. The organization does not allow clean breaks. It follows through every relationship you have left, through the people who did nothing wrong and who now carry your decision as their problem. The photograph in 2004. A man we will call Alexei, his identity protected in sealed federal proceedings, was a senior figure in a Russian organized crime network in Philadelphia. 11 years of financial operations. One of the most sophisticated money managers in the Bratva's American presence, by the FBI's assessment. He was arrested. He faced the kind of sentence that makes arithmetic very clear. He cooperated. He gave the FBI 11 years of organizational history. Names: Financial flows. The specific architecture of how money moved through the network in ways investigators had been trying to document for years. His sentence was dramatically reduced. He entered witness protection. New name, new city, new everything. 2 years into the relocation, his lawyer received a delivery. A courier. No return address. A manila envelope. Inside, one photograph. The photograph showed his daughter, 16 years old, walking out of a school building. The school was in the city where he had been relocated. The name above the school's entrance was not the name associated with his original identity. His daughter was walking out of a school that she attended under a name that was not the name she was born with. The organization had found her anyway. His daughter was not harmed, was never harmed. Nobody in his family was physically touched. The photograph was not a threat in any prosecutable sense. It was a communication. We found her. We know where she is. We are showing you that we could. Alexei did not stop cooperating. He has testified in 3 separate federal proceedings since the photograph arrived. But he told his lawyer something that the lawyer has described in an account that appears in a legal journal. He said, "I thought I was making a decision about my own freedom." He said, "I didn't understand that everyone connected to me was part of the decision." He said, "Cooperation is not something you do alone." His daughter is in her 30s now. She has a life in a city she cannot name publicly. She does not know about the photograph. Her father has decided she never needs to. The long memory here is what the Russian mob does that the Italian-American mafia does not do consistently, that the Mexican cartels do not do systematically, that no other organized crime organization in the world does with the same patience. It waits. The Vor v. Zakon, the Thieves' Code, does not operate on the American timeline of criminal justice. It does not have a statute of limitations. It does not close cases when someone serves their sentence or when enough time has passed. It carries the account open indefinitely. A federal prosecutor who spent 12 years working Russian organized crime cases described this in an interview published in a law review article in 2019. She said, "The thing that separates the Russian mob from every other criminal organization I prosecuted is the patience. American criminal organizations think in years. The Bratva thinks in decades. When they decide someone has a debt, that debt doesn't expire. It accumulates interest." She said, "I had witnesses who cooperated in the early 1990s who were still receiving communications, not threats, communications 20 years later. Not because the organization was planning to act on them. Because the organization wanted them to know the account was still open." She said, "The psychological cost of that, of knowing that 20 years later they still remember, they're still watching. The account is still active, is something the witness protection program doesn't have a protocol for." She said, "We can relocate people. We can change their names. We can build them new lives." She said, "We cannot close the account. Only the organization can close the account. And the organization closes very few accounts. The men who said no here is the section that nobody includes in these stories. For every Boris Nayfeld, for every man who cooperated and was then navigating the specific, permanent consequences of that cooperation, there are men who were offered the same deal and refused. They sat across from the same federal agents. They saw the same evidence. They were offered the same sentence reductions. They did the same arithmetic. And they said no. They are in federal prison right now. Some of them have been there for 15 years. Some of them will be there for 15 more. They are not celebrated. No one is making documentaries about their choice. But here is the twist that people outside the world don't understand. Inside the federal prison system, their choice is currency. Not comfort, not freedom, but a specific, recognized status that the Vor v. Zakon has always identified, the man who could have talked and didn't. In the institutional environment of a federal facility, in the yard, in the housing units, in the informal social world that incarcerated populations build, this status is real and it is durable. The man who cooperated serves his reduced sentence inside a facility where other inmates know what he did, where the word rat follows him through every housing transfer, every new cell block, every introduction to men who have read the court documents or heard the story from someone who has. The man who refused serves his full sentence inside a community that respects the refusal. Not comfortable, not free, but respected. His family on the outside is not visited, not because the organization is generous, because the organization has no message to send. The loyalty has already been demonstrated. There is nothing to communicate. The organization takes care of its own by leaving them alone. And in the Russian mob's world, being left alone is the most valuable thing the organization can provide. What cooperation actually costs a federal marshal who spent 15 years working with protected witnesses, speaking anonymously to a journalist in 2018, described the specific challenge that Russian organized crime witnesses present. He said, most cooperating witnesses come from environments where the threat network is geographically limited. You relocate them far enough, and the threat doesn't follow. The Italian-American mob is neighborhood-based. The street gang is city-based. Distance works. He said, Russian organized crime witnesses are different. The Bratva is not neighborhood-based. It's international. The Russian-speaking diaspora in the United States, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, Chicago. Seattle is vast enough and connected enough that relocating someone from Brighton Beach to Sacramento doesn't remove them from a social environment where someone might know someone who knows something. He said, the 6 degrees of separation that apply in general social networks apply in diaspora communities too. In a diaspora community where Russian organized crime has been operating for 40 years, those 6 degrees are often 3. He said, the witnesses who survive, who genuinely disappear and rebuild, are the ones who give up everything. Not just the criminal connections, the cultural ones, the language, the food, the community, everything that made them who they were. He said, most of them can't do it completely. He said, the ones who can't do it completely are the ones who have stories. He paused. He said, some of those stories have bad endings. The accounting here is what the Russian mob does to men who snitch. It is not a single action. It is a process. Specific, deliberate, calibrated to the circumstances of each case. The first element is the family calculation. The organization assesses what relationships the cooperating witness has that can carry a message without requiring direct contact with the witness himself. A parent, a sibling, a former spouse, a childhood friend who stayed in the community. These people receive visits, not threatening visits, not illegal visits, just the specific. Present awareness that the organization knows who they are and where they are, and that they are connected to the man who talked. The visits communicate without threatening. They remind without demanding. They are not prosecutable. They are effective. The second element is the professional calculation. In the Russian-speaking business community, in Brighton Beach, in the Russian neighborhoods of Los Angeles and Miami and Chicago, the cooperation becomes known. Not broadcast. Known. The man who needs a business partner, a supplier, a customer from that community finds that the doors he expects to be open are not open. The community has not been told to exclude him. The community has assessed the situation and made its own calculation. He cooperated. He is not someone you want to be near. The third element is the patience. 20 years later, a communication arrives. Not a threat. Not an action. A communication. We remember. The account is still open. We are still here. The ONES who made it there are cooperating witnesses who genuinely disappeared, who entered witness protection, severed every connection, and rebuilt in places where the Bratva's social network doesn't propagate effectively, who learned to navigate American social structures without Russian language, without Russian community, without anything that connects them to what they were. These men are alive. They are genuinely unknown. They cannot be named in this video because the reason they can't be named is the reason they survived. The marshal described them this way. You won't know their names because if you knew their names, they wouldn't have survived. The ones who survived are invisible by definition. The ones you can name, the Henry Hills, the Boris Neyfelds, the Ludwig Feinbergs, survived for other reasons. Because they were too exposed to touch, or because they never fully left, or because the organization calculated that touching them cost more than leaving them. The truly invisible ones gave up everything to be invisible. They grieve it. The former cooperating witness who spoke to a journalist in a 2016 account, identity protected, name changed, location undisclosed, described the grief in terms that the journalist said stayed with him for years afterward. He said, "You give up the language first. You stop speaking it in public. Then you stop speaking it at home because habit is dangerous. Then you realize one day that you are dreaming in English and the Russian is fading and you don't know whether to be relieved or devastated." He said, "You give up the food, the specific things that taste like home, because the Russian grocery is a connection point, because someone in the Russian grocery might know someone." He said, "You give up the holidays, the specific celebrations that your family celebrated, that are embedded in you at the cellular level, that you observe